All right, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the debate of which is the best 22 round, basically for hunting, probably small game stuff. So I have the CCI Velocitor, the CCI Stinger. Now, obviously there's a lot of other options to compare. I mean, I'm not saying these are the only two that are up for debate, but typically when you look this kind of stuff up, the CCI Stinger is the one that people almost inevitably come to. It's definitely by far the number one answer you will hear when it comes to that debate. The other big one that I think should be up there is the Velocitor. And the reason for, well, there's many reasons for that, but let's get into it. So the first one is, if you look at CCI, they list the Stingers at 1,640 feet per second. They list the Velocitors at 1,435. Well, here's the thing with that. I've tested this, well, two of them were me, one of them was another person, but I've seen these tested out of 3 different 22s, and the velocity was always in the mid to high 1400s, and sometimes you'll see the low 1500s. So in other words, average velocity is probably about 1500 from the Stingers. From the Velocitors is about 1400. So that's something that really needs to be kept in mind, is that they list about a 200 feet per second difference, but in reality it's about 100, at least in the 3 guns that I tested. It was a Remington 597, a Henry lever, and a GSG. Like I say, so that's one thing that needs to be kept in mind. Another thing I did, I shot these into water. And I wanted to do something a little different, in that you see people, if you want to look up videos, you can see guys shooting this stuff into ballistics gel. You can find that easily. But I wanted to shoot them into, for starters, with a hard surface. So basically what I did, just took an old, I think it was a 2x6, and put that in front of the water. So I wanted to see how well will these hold up after they go through a hard surface. What will they look like? This is the Velocitor. I mean, let's just compare it here. Okay, so we have the Velocitor here. It's going to be hard to see, but let's just do it anyway. Velocitor and Stinger. Okay, so Stinger's on the left, Velocitor is on the right. So the first thing I would say is that the actual expansion is pretty much the same, like pretty much the same. The one thing I would note, though, is, I mean, the Stinger maybe has a tiny bit more expansion, but it's splitting hairs, definitely. But the one thing I would note is that the Velocitor definitely held its weight better. Now, here's the thing when it comes to that, is that if you're shooting small game, that's not something you're really worried about. So again, when it comes to which one is better, I still think it's the Stinger, because again, but if you're looking for deep penetration through hard surfaces, you could maybe make the argument for the Velocitor, but I still think the Stinger is better. And I mean, if you look in the ballistics gel videos, the Stingers definitely win. Like, the Stingers definitely win. If you compare the rounds themselves, the bullet on the Velocitor is definitely quite a bit bigger. And maybe a little bit hard to see there, but it's definitely quite a bit bigger. So the case on the Stingers is a lot bigger, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this because in shooting different kinds of small game, you notice a very big difference between Stingers and standard, like regular old 1,200 feet per second, 36 grain or whatever, 22 ammo, whether it's Federal bulk, Remington bulk, Winchester bulk, doesn't matter. Like, they're all pretty much the same, but you definitely notice a sizable upgrade from the Stingers, and I think these are a sizable upgrade as well. And, you know, when I first got these, I was going to do this, and I was hoping to come across something, and sure enough, the first day I was out, I came across a beaver and I had the Velocitors loaded in them, and one shot with the Velocitors into the beaver's body, and this was a big beaver too, it was almost 4 feet long. One shot was enough to slow it down enough to get some other shots into it and kill it. And if you've ever shot beavers with a 22, you probably would know that killing them with one shot is pretty much impossible. Even slowing them down with one shot is oftentimes very challenging. So in reality, at the end of the day, I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to leave it at, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these. Like I said, I think there's some other ones that you could definitely compare to it. I mean, if anyone has experiences with any of these, go ahead, throw them in the comments. If you have different kinds of ammo you think that are comparison, definitely throw that in the comments. Let me know. But at the end of the day, I think the Stingers are the best. The Velocitors are still pretty good as well. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. So if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.